Team, welcome back. Day 3 for our core Java training, and we primarily went through day 1 about implementation, and day 2 we started talking about variables, or what we can also call as parameters. Team, you will see that variables, parameters, or arguments, how we can keep working with them. We spoke about a little about how we cannot how we can avoid to get frustrated by following the simple process, and that is what will make programming interesting. So keep your eyes on to what I'm saying and how we develop it, and each time you will see how we can progress. So very progressive learning that we have to do, team. All right, so today what we're going to do is we basically yesterday learned about variables, and there may be now a combination of documentation and code that will keep coming. So let's keep our eyes towards them. I'm going to close all of these things which I don't need. For now, go to project 1. We were just playing with the other one, but our main things will all be here. So this is the first one where we spoke about variables and the fact that how we can declare it, basically give a type of the variable. Unless we give that, the memory is not set within the program. So when a program is running, it is occupying your memory in your machine team. So if we go to the task manager, you'll notice all of these are using your CPU time and the memory. And you'll need to be conscious as to what is using what memory. And that is why if you have a bad application, it can slow your program or your system down because it's eating away most of the memories and so on. Okay. So we spoke about defining and giving a value, and this is the type string. We spoke about how we give a data into it and so on. Let's go to the next one. And then we said that what else did I do here? Nothing. I think the same thing almost. String X helps. How do you do? And we're printing the value. So these 3 lines is how we typically do as declare, initialize, and use. Now, just tell me, team, what will go on, and this is where you need to be innovative and understand these concepts a little bit more detail. If I comment this line 8, why did some kind of a yellow thing come up on line 6? Can you think of it and tell me, please? What came up on line 6? If I undo this, it's gone. If I comment line 6, so that's basically a warning, team. A warning is not a syntax error. It will still let you run the program, but it is telling you, hey, you know what? Is it efficient enough? Is there something that you're doing correctly? Maybe there's an advice that Eclipse IDE can give you. It's primarily saying that you declared X, you've initialized X, but you're not using X anywhere in the script. Then what is the point of doing all this activity? That is a question. Isn't that correct? And so declared, initialized, but not used. So that's why it's giving a warning. You take your mouse over, it'll tell you. The value of the local variable X is not used. So that is something, keep your eyes, team, and stay with small code as long as you can. That way it'll be easy. And as we go along, you'll see that now I've declared and initialized in the same line, and then I can use it whenever I want. Go to the next one. So here we spoke about a string variable S1, how we can declare, initialize, and print it. So this is the name. Anything in double quotes, remember, is always as is, unless an escape character comes to you. When we get into the other types of variables, the most important one that I want you to understand is a simple integer. We'll try and stay with integers for a while. That way, understanding decimals or a float and so on will become easy. Now, for today's session, let's take something to do with so far so good, everyone. What do you want to say? Variables int. Create something. Delete. Let me rename this to thank you. So we want to talk about something different. Mini project team. I will speak about it. Now, what we can do. There seems to be an error on line 1, but let me write what comes next. Why am I doing this indentation? Can't I write the code like this? Let's try. Public static void main open brackets string square brackets open and arguments, and here I can always write my code like this. So start and somewhere here, so end. This is my code. So first thing, what could be wrong on line 1? When I saved it, this file didn't get saved with the correct name. So you can always go right click on it, the class that you want, and do the refactor thing. So refactor will basically let you rename, and if it's also used anywhere else, it will do the same. So that way Eclipse or any IDE helps you immensely. Mini project. Remember the way you do, it's almost like a signature, the way you do namings and so on. So even if you don't look at it, you can think, okay, if I was Karthik at that time, how I would have named it. And let it be standard that everyone is using. That makes easy. Okay, so Win6 program. Now, what do I want to do here? I want to say int I equals 1. Now, if I say int j equals I plus 1, what I'm doing is incrementing I. Correct, everyone? Now, what I want to do is, let's say, and these are the simple examples that we can work with any integers team. At any given time, you try and mess around with not defining them. It says, hey, you know what? You're okay to comment line 4, but line 5, why is it showing a red line then? Because you're not defined. So this becomes an important structure team. You can simply put together. So writing a simple code so we can use a base for us, and okay, start adding value to I, comma I. And there you go. So see, do you see anyone sees a problem here? There are two problems, team. See, there's no error. There's no syntax error or runtime error. But there are two things that I see as a problem. Can you notice this and tell me, please? I'm going to give a pause for a couple of seconds. There are exactly two problems at least. You can make it 2-3 problems into it. What do you see that you don't like? Because if we keep going that way without making you realize, then we'll be missing the. Think of it like an image where you're asked to find a defects or faults in it from the original one. What could be wrong? The two main ones, and there's a third one. Let me run again. So look, we are starting from the first line going all the way to line 15. I'm only getting 1 or 2 responses. I don't know why, team. A lot of you have not been very active. I'm seeing some of you, but not everyone. Be active, team. It's the only fun thing you can do in the whole day sometimes. Okay, the first I see is J is not getting printed. Correct. So that's on line 5. You're right. See, so I'm having J but not getting it printed, and that's why it has this simple warning that you know what, the local value of this variable is not used anywhere. So I'll print J was plus I. Now, what is the other mistake, team? Let's rerun this code. Now you tell me. Is there a difference between line 6 and 7? See, adding value to I 1 and then J was 1. So primarily when we're mixing our English and data, we don't want to give spaces. Beautiful job, everyone. So you're able to look at those details, how we want it and what we're getting, even if it's an additional space. And that's good. So let's run it. Now looks a little better. See, the other thing that I did is look at this code compared to a code like this. The only difference is there are more comments here, no comments. But if I do a little bit of indentation, it makes us to look at and observe things easily. I'll tell you how. So this is one block from line 1 to line 14, and then from line 3 to line 12 is another block. So this way, it's easy for us to look at. A few things like minimizing and expanding blocks, we'll see. Now, the project that I have is very simple, team. We'll first talk in English, and then in Java. So this is how we will do it. So the assignment is have an age, safe, legal to vote or not. So that is a team. That is all I have as a requirement. Now let us think of this and try and write a logic. So here, there are two things here. You have an age. So that means I need to create something to hold an age. So I'll say integer variable age. That is how I want to name it. I don't know if I want a value in it, so I'll just define it. And I know why this is coming here because I've not used it. Oh, here also see line 7, I said J is. Sorry, team. I made a mistake, didn't correct it. Good observation. See, it didn't want English to be lowercase e, and that's why it gave that. Also, grammatic errors, team. So why does it have a warning here? Because we didn't use VAG here. Okay, that's fine. Safe, legal to vote or not. So let's expand this. That means I want to say if age over 21, then yes. Else wait for another year and check. Right, so that's little sadistic approach, but let us say this is what it is. Now comes the point where I want to do something with this age. I want to see if this age has a value. This age can have any value. Let us assume the age is right now 19. So I can always say here that, hey, you know what, cannot vote. But if V age equals 22, then I'll say can vote. So all this I'm sitting with the computer and doing it, giving the logic here and so on. But it can be 18, 17, 16, 15. It can be so many numbers over, right? And now let's run this. And I'll say V age plus cannot vote. And here VH plus can vote. I'm getting bored myself of this. Let's make it a little interesting. So now it's saying the logic itself that, you know what, adding values. These first things, let's just kind of ignore them. Now I have 4 lines to comment, which I don't want to use right now. So comment each line I can use 2 forward slashes, but if I want to comment a bulk, block of code. Then I start with a forward slash star, and at the end of it, put another star followed by forward slash. So this basically is taking the entire thing and bulk commenting it first in one go. So let's run this again. That way we have, so start 12 cannot vote, 12 can vote. So let's make it a little bit more aesthetically better. Now see, these things can be done for any amount of data, right? But I need an engine that does it automatically. And that is where decision making comes in Java. And that's called conditional statements. Conditional statement, one of the most simplest things is the if statement. So if I say that a condition, like if V age is less than 21, then SysO can vote. Else, I'll say SysO cannot vote. Now look at what has changed for us here. Here, each time I'm giving a value, right now this is hard coded in here. As you go along, you'll see how it can keep changing because it's a variable. That's what we're talking about. In this, when I say V age is less than 21, system.out.println can vote. What this means is a new thing for us to look at, team, if you've not seen it already. The if and else are keywords, Java keywords. They make specific meanings to us. The format is very simple. If is a keyword followed with it in open and end brackets is a condition. The highlighted text, the value of this condition can be true or a false at any given time. The way it works is if it is true, the code right after will get executed. If it is false, the one that is there else as a keyword after will get executed. So here I will also say, here I'm going to say sorry, try next here. So these two statements, 29 and 30, when true, 32 and 33 when not true. And then we are ending this 40. So when we have an if condition, it is a conditional statement. One of the most important concepts of any programming language. It is broken down into the true part of it and then the false part of it. Now, if I want to execute this, all I do is run it, and you will see based on the value of J, VH. So see, 19 cannot vote, 22 can vote. Then we said cannot vote, try next year. So if VH is less than 21, cannot vote. Look at it, team. Is this correct condition? The important thing here is this out here, team. The small variable that you see, sorry, icon, the less than symbol, it is the critical one. So what is my expectation? If age over 21, then yes. So how should I write this? If age over 21, then yes. Why? Because let's comment this and right before my statement, let us put a value. Now, can you think of why maybe there's an error on line 29 and 21 also? There's an error here. Would you know why? Okay. The reason being, we declared the variable. We did not initialize it here, but we are using it. You have to declare, give some value, only then you can use it. How can we use it otherwise? So cannot. And the same thing is an issue here. I'll set the age here. So we'll run it a few times and see. Well, let's say 22. So now 22 is greater than 21. That means the true part will get executed. That is what I should see. Start can vote. If I change this value to 16, you will see that issue coming. Cannot, sorry, try next year. And you can play around with it, team. What if you vote, 65? Are you old enough to vote? Of course. My only condition here is age has to be greater than 20. Now, a similar thing we can do for multiple things. So let's look at if statement. Okay. Any questions so far, please? I'll go into a little more depth. Avoid main. What did you want to do? Okay, so let us take two variables, team. It will be easy. Int x, comma y. Declaring two variables on the same line. I'll say x equals 10, y equals 20. Right? Now look at a few things. If x is greater than y, then this is just to practice the inference. So I'll say x is greater. Else, so y is greater. So for me, these two things are common. Either x is greater or y is greater. Now, what am I doing? If x is equal to y, okay, let's talk about less than first. If x is less than y, then I'll say x is smaller, and else I'll say y is smaller. Is that fine, team? I want you to just understand the condition here. You have to match this with what is true and what is not. Is x greater than y? If this is true, line 9. If it is not true, line 11. So there'll be two statements that will get printed at any time, not four statements. Here, x is less than 1. So in this case, let us look at it. 10 and 20. I want you to think through it and tell me exactly what will get printed. Okay. For making it easy, I'll say this is 1, 2, 3, 4. Just tell me what statements will get printed. You have to read this code, team. Just say the numbers, team. Is it 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and 4, 2, 3, 4? What statements will get printed? And this is when we put our focus to learn Java and to how it will execute. I'm getting different answers, everyone. Can you please recheck, cross-check, make sure you're doing correct? There cannot be any mistake on this. Let's look at it, team, because from here on, complexities will increase. I'll take a couple of minutes more here. See, my x is 10, okay? Y is 20. Remember that. Now, let's look at line 8. Is x greater than y? That means is 10 greater than 20. Is that correct? Is 10 greater than 20? 10 is not greater than 20. That means it has to come to else. 10 is actually less than 20. So that statement is incorrect. Now the next one is x less than 5. So don't assume anything, oh, because of this, then this and that. No. Look at it once again. Now we here. I'm saying x is less than y. So the x is 20, 10, y is 20. 10 is less than 20, 10 less than 20. That is correct. So this one will get printed. So that means 2, 3 is the right answer. Line 2 should come here. After that, 3. Correct? 10 is greater than 20. Not true. Line 11. 10 is less than 20. True. Line 17. Now, let's run this again. So you're seeing where we're making an error, team. If you made an error in your answer and you're able to slowly correct it. Now see, y is greater, that is number 2. X is smaller, that is number 3. So we are correct with our analysis. Now let us do one more with the same one. But in this case, I'll change this to 100. Now tell me, please. Don't be smart and just switch answers. Think of it and tell me. I actually ran it also. The other option will run. But let's try this. So, but you know it almost, right? So if I hide X and Y, then you know. So primarily, let's save time. 120, if I do, 100 is greater than 20. That is true. So number 1 will get executed. Then 100 is less than 20. That is false. So 4 will get executed. So 1 and 4 was the answer. Now, when it comes to equal to t, we cannot use a single equation. What we do is we have to use a double equal to. The reason being, when I say a single equal to, it's an equation. You take the value on the right side and put it on the left side. And especially in an if condition, it has this brackets surrounding the condition itself. So it tells us specifically that, you know what, there's no assignment possible within an if. So you want to make sure that you give a condition in here. Boolean is a condition. So if x equals to y, then t. Now all of you focus and tell me, please. Okay? X equals y, x and y are same. X and y are different. So this is 5, 6. Now you've all seen this, right? You've seen the entire code. So much visibility is okay. Now team, my number is 30 and 30, 14. Now tell me which statements will get printed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Out of them, which statements are going to get printed? Be careful with your answers. I'll give you exactly 10 seconds, team. Maybe 30 seconds. It's not about being time bound. It's just trying to put you under pressure as well. X is 30, Y is 14. What are the statements that will get printed? I don't know if it's one statement, 2 statements, 3 or 4. Looking at the answers, team. See, I see 1, 4, then 6, 6, 1, 1. Okay, so I will not even do the logic. Most of you are saying 1, 4, and 6. Let me see. So that means it should be X is greater, Y is smaller, X and Y are different. Right, team? That's cool. So how about I do 300 and 1400? At this time, I will get, I have asked you, be 1, 4, and they'll not be the same, right? Okay, what if I print 300 now? What will get printed? Can anyone tell me, please, quickly? And then we move on. Both of 300, what will get printed? Only 1, 5 is it? So nothing else there? Hmm. Did I make it correct? X is greater than 300. X is 300. Y is 300. X is greater than Y. X is less than Y. Right? Now, see, we didn't expect. It says Y is greater, Y is smaller. X and Y are same. I'm seeing how we are unable to come with that thing. We're trusting our print statements, but look at our logic. The program only knows the logic. So we will have to correct that. Is Y greater team? Look at this condition. It's saying is X greater than Y. Is this true or not, team? It is not asking you is it equal to, less than, greater than or equal to, not equal to. Only one statement. Is X greater than or equal to Y? No. So this will get printed for sure. So what should that mean? X greater than Y means I should put it here. X is not greater. That's it. It can be equal to, it can be more. It's not greater. Now the same way here. Is X less than Y? Again, it is not true. Why it's not true, team? Because this condition is not true. I don't care they're equal or not. The condition is been asked for me. Is this equal to this? And that is not true. So Y is smaller is getting printed. So I should write X is not small, or the other way, whatever you want. Let it be clear. Next one are the same. You can write. And hence, sometimes to avoid that confusions, you can combine it saying that if X is less than or equal to Y, said possibility, and similarly, X is greater than or equal to Y, and if X is not equal to 1. These are the few words that we can use in a continuous basis. So you understanding the logic, team? The fact that our assumption, our logic, our intelligence has got nothing to do with all this. It's our focus and systematically going through making sure everything. And over a period of time, our speed will increase, but still we have to look at every detail. Even if someone is an expert in Java, has to start programming from today, a new project, they have to still go and look at everything. They don't have a magic wand. They will still have to write the same if statement. But they know the fact when they write in statement, if they use equal to, less than equal to, not equal to, and also and or that we can look at later. So team, now we're talking about this. So our project also is shaping it to it. Now, if a change comes to it and I want to give an assignment and all that. Right. Before that, I want to talk about a furlough because it's an important one to just get an idea and we can do a few things that be interesting. So team, you've seen what we're doing so far. We have variables, we have values. Okay. So let us say I have a variable called string mm, x equals hash symbol. Okay. And any issues with upper lower cases team, it will keep prompting, and that's a fine way to learn. I've not used S yet, but if I say, for example, if S equals hash, hash double quotes, then actually this is string one. Why am I showing you even this right now? I don't want to show anything yet. Ignore that. I'm getting confused between trying to give you an assignment and teaching you. I'll show you what a for loop is, how it works, and then give you an assignment. So I'm gonna say team. See, it's very simple for us to have variables. I'll say int I comma j. And sometimes you want to do certain things repeatedly. So let us say you want to print a line like this 10 different times. So what I can do is I can always copy this 10 times manually and put that. And we're not really using it efficiently. When we know that a specific number of things has to be done a specific number of times, we use what we call as a for loop. So if I say for int I equals 0, I is less than 10, I equals I plus plus. I already defined I and j, I don't need them right now. So for me to print this 3 times or 100 times, I need to repeat it. But for me, instead to do that 10 times here, I just use the statement. So let's just comment this first. So you see, this is getting executed team. Actually, it is going plus forever. It's gone into an infinite mode team. It will never end, never ever. And I know the reason is out here. Supposed to say I equals I plus 1. I said plus plus. I equals I plus plus. So it's not going to end unless I terminate it. And this is one of the first things you learn. That for gives you the ability to loop or repeat a code multiple times. And we're going to look at the syntax and try and give you an assignment. Okay. So now it is printing this 10 times. How do I know it's printing it 10 times? Maybe then value of I is space plus I. And let's see. Right. So team, if you notice this now, it says that value of I is 0. Then it prints this few characters that I gave. And then it gets to value of I is 1. And then again, this value of I is 2. And again, this and so on. So what is primarily happening team is in a for loop, whatever is there in the block will get repeated for this specific condition, for this specific iteration, and we'll talk about this. Now, remember with our if statements, if true, one part, if not true, else another part. We'll come to else 15, it's a simple thing there. In for, It'll execute all of this, but certain number of times. And the count is chosen here. Count is basically saying, where do I start from? Where do I end? So they're both broken down into three parts, team. The first part is starting count. So here I'll say j equals 10. So here basically I'm defining this whole statement, which is broken down into these three parts. Then condition till we execute this. And sorry, this I is less than 10. This is the next portion. And finally, increments or step size. Team, I need to run urgent. Give me 1 second. Team, I have an emergency. I need to run. I'm going to close the session. I will look into this later and get back to you. Sorry, bye, everyone.